The decision, as difficult as it was probably the easiest part of this whole project. I'm aware that I'm committing to something that will take a sizable chunk of my life to achieve, and I've been flooded by comments telling me how stupid I am to be committing to this boat. And if the goal was to simply be on the water, then of course it would be a stupid choice. But like a wise man once said in a previous video,
you're not investing in your boat. It's not a good investment, but you're going to be a happier, better, more thoroughly rounded person at the end of this than you would have been if you'd sat in a, design chair all these years.
So as cliche as it might sound, it's not about the goal, it's about the journey. And I'm inviting you to come with me.
Yes, now back to work.
The boat is toast. A lot of the frames are rotten and they need to be sistered or replaced, and the same probably goes for the floors. The planking is iron sick and more are falling out of the boat. A lot of it has to be replaced. The keel has separated and needs to be rebolted. The bevel of the floor, which shouldn't have a bevel. The cabin sides are damaged and need to be patched or in some places completely replaced. The roof is rotten and need to be patched. Any traces of asbestos and lead needs to be removed from the boat.
Well, that was easy. That was too easy.
Parts of the interior is rotting and basically all of it needs to be removed to make way for repairs to the frames and the floors. The engine needs to be lifted to make way for the repairs underneath, and it needs to be serviced before it goes back in. I want to replace the keel cooler to move over to an internal system to reduce drag, and the fuel tanks need to be inspected and possibly replaced. The stern needs to come back together and the lazarette needs to be rebuilt with a new and bigger hatch to make space for an emergency tiller.
I don't like that sound.
The tank for the diesel stove has exploded and needs to be removed and replaced. All the plumbing and electrical systems needs to be replaced, and a new interior will need to be laid out, designed and built. And once all of that is done, I can paint and varnish the boat and make her ready for launch.
Well, I mean, it's not that bad, hey?
Alright, if I'm gonna be able to pull this off, I need a plan. And I'm gonna start off by trying to recreate the drawings of the boat. So I think they disappeared probably decades ago. There's no traces left on board of anything whatsoever when it comes to layout and dimensions. So I'm gonna see if I can recreate that with, a piece of paper, measuring tape, and a pencil. And then we can move on from that. So let's get to it. My idea was to strike a center line on both the paper and the boat, and then take measurements every 1 to 2 feet. I could then make a grid and scale down my measurements into inches, a technique I learned at a young age trying to replicate drawings. It was going to take a lot of time getting all the measurements and transcribing them onto the paper. But if there's something I love, it's tedious and unnecessary work that takes a lot of detail to get right. I guess I'm a masochist. So I've been asked quite a few times now what kind of idiot would take on a project like this and not just crush it and walk away. I think the answer is the same kind of idiot that would go through the boat and painstakingly take every measurement there is to recreate all these drawings. But it would be nice to be able to show you both how the boat was laid out and what I have in mind in the future. So I think it's worth it. I started drawing at a very young age. My grandmother was a painter and she introduced me to it. Born before the Second World War, even older than my boat. And she came from a time where things broke. You wouldn't just replace them, but you repair what you had. They had a sense of responsibility towards things and toward making them last. And my grandpa was a real maverick. He flew around in what was basically a flying dinghy with a lawnmower engine strapped to the back. And he even flew the Swedish King in it once. He had a massive airplane hangar by the side of the lake with a railroad track that he would use to pull his plane up into the workshop. I used to love spending time in there. He had a lot of crazy stories. And he's one of the reasons why monkeys became illegal in Sweden. Turns out keeping monkeys is a terrible idea. So I guess growing up, my sense of normality or what was possible might have been slightly skewed. So now that I've gotten all the main measurements in place here, I can start placing in the bulkheads. And as you can see, I was using this little wood batten. It's very handy to get correct lines. Now, of course, this is not going to be perfect by any means, but it will give me something to reference and to work with. Okay, now I'm going over all of this again with a new piece of paper. So I have my measurements separate, that will save. And then I have my sketch in pencil. And now I'm doing my ink drawing here. And I gotta be really steady on my hand. I am nervous, I'm shaking a little bit. And this will be what I'm going to make copies of and put on the wall and use as a reference as we go through and restore this old lady. It's a bit sad that the drawings are long gone, because they are, of course, original to each boat. These were not production line boats, as many seem to think they were. They were all custom and built to order for each customer. There is a rumor that there is a boat or two boats on the coast here that have the same design, and I guess it's a little bit unclear how that happened. Someone maybe stole the drawings, but if the drawings did exist, then I wouldn't get the pleasure to do this work, which I really do enjoy. Okay, there we go. Recreation of the top-down perspective of the drawings. Now we can see what's going on with the boat, what we have, and I can use this to get some more idea of the sizes of the cabins, and I can start making some more kind of detailed sketches of the interior as I start to plan out how that's gonna come back together. Now this was only one of the drawings that I ended up making. I decided to break down the whole interior and aft deck and even the transom into its different parts. Alright, that's it for the drawings. There's a whole bunch here and we'll return to these as we progress through the project. Now I need to figure out some lumber prices. So up until now I've mostly been using some wood I got here and there, but I need to actually start sourcing wood in fairly large quantities. So I'm gonna start making some calls and try to figure out what the price range is for the different types of species that we're gonna need for the boat. Hi, yeah, my name is Johannes Fast. I'm wanting to ask you some questions about your lumber prices. Okay, $15 for yellow cedar. What about green white oak? Do you have any teak, sapelli, black locust slabs? Silicon bronze spruce, 1 3/4 flat head. What about marine ply, 1/2 inch, 215, okay. Fir, purple heart, 3/4 inch. Kiln dried? Yeah, no, that won't work. 900. So recently 2 logs have drifted down the river here. You're allowed to salvage logs from the river and from the sea if they're below 3 meters without a salvage license. But as far as I understand, if it's from a landslide, you're free to harvest it. A log like that could potentially be worth thousands of dollars if it's actually red cedar. And it might be worth taking the time to towing something like that to shore and having it milled, because it could really save a huge amount of money. Maybe we should head out there. All right, we are going to check out the logs. Let's see. Okay, let's see what this is. It still has some green branches left, so it's definitely not anything from the logging industry. Oh yeah, that is not cedar. I'm really bad with the trees here. Is this, I don't know what this is, pine? There's a lot of branches here, which means it's full of knots. It's a lot of wood though. Full of knots. It could work for something like interior framing, but then again, it's not really worth the effort. this towed to shore. And there's another one here. Let's take a look. Chunky. Look. You gonna get it? You get it. Get it. Come on, get it. Get it. Get it. Oh, get it. Almost. Almost. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, don't fall in the water. Pull. Pull. Here, I'll help you. Try now. Oh, good boy. Did you get a toy? Bonus. What's the chance that a dog frisbee is just sitting on the root ball of a tree here? Hilarious. Okay, let's see what this is. I'm gonna take a little sample, smell it. Okay, let's see what it smells like. It smells like fish. I don't know any wood that smells like fish. It doesn't smell like anything, which kind of excludes cedar. Not cedar. That might be hemlock or something like it. If I had a chainsaw, this would be a lot easier. All right, well, we're heading back. Let's head down the yard and see if we can find the millwright and see what kind of stocks he's sitting on and what he wants for it. So there's a whole bunch of yellow cedar here, and there's some red cedar. I'm fairly sure this is for sale. It's not really planking stock, but it could be good for interior structures like framing out the galley. Quite a bit of knots in there, so not the highest grade, which means it might be fairly cheap. So I couldn't find the millwright. He might have left already. I would guess that grade of yellow is probably around $10 per board foot, if not even less than that. I don't think I would want to pay, for all those knots. It's looking like the total sum to completely rebuild this boat is gonna land somewhere near $100,000. That is my very rough estimate. I've calculated as much as I can when it comes to lumber and hardware, stove, fridge, all of that. And yeah, it's not a trivial sum of money, but it's a fraction of what property costs in Canada. So restore a boat it is. It's gonna be expensive, it's gonna take a lot of time, and it's gonna take a lot of work. And I want to be able to track that work and I have an idea. Let's go back to the boat. So the boat has quite a few old dials and instruments, and some of them are not in use anymore. And there's one in particular that I've really fallen in love with. It's an old analog ammeter. I don't think this has been functioning for decades, but it is absolutely beautiful. The face and that little analog handle, it is just, you can't find that stuff anymore. And as far as I understand, it measures the amps over a circuit, which kind of gave me an idea that maybe I could take that out and do a little bit of tinkering with a circuit board. And because it measures a very low current, I'm thinking I could probably run that off a 9-volt battery, and I might be able to figure out a way to make that handle move by a little dial. And because it goes from 0 to 100, it would kind of be the perfect way to track the progress of the boat. So let's see what I can figure out. That is looking pretty nice. I'm gonna connect all the wires, and then tomorrow I'm gonna turn a knob, and then we'll turn it on and see how it looks like. Okay, now I'm gonna try to carefully cut a little slit across here so I can put a small piece of locust in there. So when I put it onto the potentiometer, it will actually stick in there. So let's see if I can carefully carve this out. And carefully whittle away tiny bit. All right. Bit of super glue. Like that. Now let's finish this off with a bit of oil. Let's see if it's gonna work. Now there's just one last thing before this is done and we can turn it on. I think it's done. A little bit of a side project, but now we have a way of tracking the progress of this boat rebuild. Should we see if it works? Okay, let's do it. Oh yeah. Now, I guess technically because the stern is in pieces, this should be going into the negative, but that won't be forever. And soon, hopefully, we'll be able to start moving this needle towards 100. And that's gonna be a good day. All right, I think that's it for today's episode. Now, I quickly want to tell you about a project that I've just launched. I've been asked by a few people in the comments to set up a GoFundMe so that those who want can directly support the project. This GoFundMe is set up so that it's only for lumber, fasteners, or other things for the boat. If you want to donate, you can head into the description, and donations over a certain amount will get their names engraved on a bronze plaque in the engine room. Now, these videos are made possible by those of you that have become Patreons. On Patreon, you don't only support this show and making it possible, but you also get access to early episodes and ad-free viewing. So if you want to join on Patreon, check down below. It is thanks to you that these episodes are made possible. Now, thank you so much for watching. Next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about how I'm planning to fund this rebuild. So I'll see you in the next one.